What's up, everybody? We're back for another edition of the Buck Junkies Podcast, right smack dab in the middle of the rut here in Mississippi, ain't it, fellas?
Sure is.
That is.
Y'all, me and Jamie, we didn't get up early this morning. I had some stuff I had to do.
Up early over the weekend. I played hooky today.
Did you? But Mikey and Mark, y'all went. I don't know what time did y'all get down here today.
Man, it was a late sunrise this morning, like super late.
Well, it may have been closer to 6 when we got here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't leave the house till almost 5:30. So, heck, I want to say shooting hours wasn't until 6:30. So, I mean, heck, we had plenty of time. It was still dark when I got in the stand.
Yeah,
it was when I went. I guess it was Saturday morning. I was used to getting up early. Like I normally set my alarm like 4:45, 5 o'clock, and try to get out there. 5:45. Man, it was 6:15 before I could see. So I was there 30 minutes early. I was like, man, it's done. I guess it's getting close to that solstice time or whatever. Them days.
Shortening up.
The short days, the shortest days or longest days or whatever it is. I don't know how it goes. But.
Last week when I would leave the house, I would get up at about 4:30 and I would try to be left by about 4:50, 4:45 and get here at 5:30. And heck, I looked at the time. I was like, daggum, it's showing sunrise at darn near 7 o'clock. Like, I mean, it wouldn't.
Yeah. I thought I was late because I was rolling coming down 51 and them old dirty cops up there in Coldwater and Senatobia, man, they trying to get them working folks. They were set up, parked, running radar. I've never seen them on that highway ever.
Right there as soon as you go through Coldwater.
Coldwater and Senatobia.
Really?
And I come through there and I just happened to, see a car slow down and I was like, man, must be either a deer's up here or something. I let off the truck, and sure enough, it was a cop sitting up there, but I'd have stayed in that gas. They'd have got me this morning.
They'd have been glad to give you that ticket blowing through there.
You ain't going to work, boy. Where you going? Going back south.
Making some of that county money out there.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good morning, man. It was a pretty
big frost.
It was cold. Sun was shining good, and heck, they started moving for me about 8 o'clock, 7:45, 8 o'clock. They started pushing on through a little bit. So.
What time did you see your first one?
15 minutes after I got in the stand.
Oh, really?
Never stopped.
Never stopped, really?
Not really. I mean, there was a little break in between them, but it was pretty steady all morning.
I hated to get down to come do this podcast. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I was scared to get down because I was like, man, I'm sure as I get down as fast as they're coming through, because they're coming through about every 5 or 10 minutes, one come through, one move through. I was like, so I was trying to time it like, all right, there was the last deer just walked off the field. I got to be back. So I eased down out of the stand and slipped out of there real fast, but.
So were they feeding, or are they does moving, bucks pushing them, or what's going on now?
I mean, the first buck I seen this morning was a wide 8-point. I don't know, he's 17 inches, or he might have been more than that.
Was it that old pencily one? Was it thin, but he's wide?
He was well up past his ears.
Really?
But he in little old short brow times. I seen him. He was just kind of feeding across the ridge in front of him. He was just milling around up there. He was feeding, but he wasn't like just standing there feeding. He'd walk a little bit, get something off the ground, and keep moving. And he walked right before he come in the field. He stopped, and anyways, he backed up and rubbed his haunches together and pissed all over his haunches. He didn't make a scrape or nothing. And he come down in the field, and he walked out in the field. He checked the field, walked down all the way down the end of the field, and then turned, went back up that trail that runs down the side of that ridge. That was it. He left, and then
chicken.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like there was a doe. Like I've never seen this happen before. A doe come off the ridge not far from where he came off at. And man, she was like one of them old rabbit dogs we used to have, one of them jump dogs. She had her nose in the air when she come off that hill and was looking for him. She went down there and crossed over the field and lost him. And it wasn't long. She came back through with her nose in the air and on the ground trying to find him. I checked her head and everything. It was not a buck. It was not a buck. Yeah. It was a full-grown big doe. And, man, she went up that trail after him. She was gone, boy. She had some bad intentions for him. She's going to be ashamed of herself in the morning. But I was thinking about that. That's the first time I ever seen that. So I kind of pulled something up on the internet looking at that, and I know that bucks chase does, but the doe chooses which buck. I think Jamie said that before. The doe chooses which buck they want to breed with, and they try to, sometimes they try to breed with the same does year after year, and I guess it's just, stock or whatever, I guess they know who's got a good bloodline or who don't or whatever, but I guess that's what she was doing. That must've been a buck she had bred with in previous years. And son, she was hunting him.
She liked something on him, huh?
Yeah.
That was her Romeo for the week.
He had,
Yeah, there you
he
go.
had old cool water on them snakeskin boots on.
Oh, Romeo. Had them snakes kids.
Yeah. But anyways, no, she went up through there, and man, when she found his trail, she was gone. I mean, nose in the air, she was trailing him off just like one of our old jump dogs used to do. They stick it her nose in there, and she was trying to wind him in the air.
If you're a single man, all you do is just pee on yourself
right.
and you're good to go.
She,
Think it'll work. I don't know about that. Well, so do y'all like getting in there before daylight, or what's your theory on getting to a stand early this time of year?
it depends on
You
where
still-
I'm going. Because I worry about blowing deer out. If I'm gonna be bumping a lot of stuff and making a lot of noise going in somewhere, I kind of like to be able to see when I go.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I don't have to see real good, but just enough to where I can see,
Breaking almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're going to one of those stands in the fields or something like that, yeah, I want to be there before the sun comes up.
That's what I mean. That's the way I like to treat a big field. Like if you're sitting on a box stand this time of year on a big field,
Yeah.
I like to get there before it ever gets daylight.
I just
feel like I got some cover, with the darkness too, which deer can see good at night. But
yeah.
have y'all noticed that I've noticed this several times in the evening, these deer are more relaxed when it's dark.
Yeah.
Like I've got down a couple times this year after we talked about how you ease out of a stand, and I was just kind of looking to see if the deer would. And I got enough light to tell it's a deer. You probably wouldn't shoot one; it's too late for that. But just to see if they ran, and them checkers didn't run. I mean, I've had it 2 different times now where I've really paid attention to try to see if I could slip out and look back, getting out of a stand where clearly they could see me getting out. And
Yeah.
they were still in the field by the time I eased out of there. So I don't know. I think if you're going into that cover of, the light's dark or, light enough where you can see a little bit, you're okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time, just like this morning, I got there and I wasn't as early as I normally was, but it was still before daylight, and got to the stand, got up in the stand, and I'm pretty sure they were in the plot feeding.
As you got in?
As I got in, I think they were like kind of down toward the pond, like down from me, because I heard them like kind of trot off in the woods, a little bit of grass. Like they didn't sound like they were spooked. They wasn't tearing out, but you could hear them out there. And I knew it was deer, but I mean, I couldn't see them. It was too dark. So that's another thing is like, if I'm able to shoot, I want to be where I'm supposed to be. Like, I don't like the idea of like coming in daylight to where you got the opportunity. You might, rush a shot because you jump one. Like, I want to be in the stand where I'm situated, I'm settled, got my coffee ready, everything's good to go, and I'm waiting on sun.
Shoot, I've seen you kill them on the way though, Mark.
I've killed a few on the way.
Picking somebody up, you'll shoot one.
Got
Yeah.
Belly crawl a little bit when you see him, you'll shoot one.
You got to do what you got to do now.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, in the mornings, I definitely don't want to go in when it's like just broad daylight. You know what I mean? But, that like you was talking about, like that dusk, just real dim light where they might think that's somebody, but they're not sure, but I can still see enough to where I'm not using a headlamp walking through the woods or whatever.
Until you think hunting these big fields, usually 30 minutes earlier than what you can in the woods. I mean, it's still dark in the woods, and heck, you can see enough to shoot in a big wide open field like that. So.
Well, what do y'all think about like a midday or mid-morning sit this time of year though? Because right now there's no bad time to be in the stand with these bucks running the way they are.
No, I mean, right now, I would have never got out of the stand.
Guess what? Be one of them all days.
If we didn't have to come back here and do this podcast, I'd still be sitting there. Just because it was that hot. But like last week when me and Mark went, it was full moon and we went out and wasn't quite, wasn't quite hitting just yet. And we went out and sat out there and we sat all freaking day and didn't see a daggum deer till late in the evening. Yeah. I didn't anyway. It was 4:45 before I seen a deer.
The whole midday hunting, I mean, I think it has its place, especially during the rut or right after rut, when they're trying to catch them last few does and, the last couple of weeks of the rut. But early in the season, well, like you say, we didn't see nothing.
No. I ain't never seen a deer in midday, but it wasn't like something, it wasn't worth sitting out there all that time. I just seen him come back here and get something to eat and sit down for a minute, watch a ball game, and then go back in the evening and, sit out there all day long. Because, I have seen some good deer, and I'm not saying that you ain't going to kill a good one, but, we sit till almost 11 o'clock most of the time anyways,
I can't do the go out at 11 and then come back at 3 or whatever. If I'm out there, I feel like I need to stay in the dark.
You gonna stay till dark anyway?
Yeah.
That's what I do too.
In my mind, I'm saying, telling myself, if I get out now, he's gonna come through 10 minutes after I get down, and 30 minutes after I get out. If I stay till dark, I mean, it is what it is at that point.
I like to be in there by 2 in the afternoon this time of year.
At least.
Because I've seen them moving. I hadn't hunted like an all day set that many times. I've hunted till, I've done it a few times, and it's tough. It's hard to sit there all day. But I look at it as if I'm seeing deer every 15 minutes or something, different deer too, that makes it a little easier.
Oh, this morning went by so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, like, it felt like it ought to have been 7:30. I looked down, heck, it's 9:15, And
that's why, when I text Malcolm, I was like, I ain't believing it's already 9:15. It's just that fast it was over with. But yeah, you get prepared to hunt now. This time of year, I could, like today where we were seeing deer constant. I kind of let the deer decide what I'm gonna do. Mm-hmm. If they, movement stops and it's dead for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm gone. But if they're still moving around, I'll stay there, even if it's just does.
That was kind of rolls off into one of my questions I thought about this morning was, growing up, we didn't have box stands. We hunted ladder stands or climbing stands or whatever. And then my all day long sits was freaking tough because usually by 9 o'clock I was about to freeze to death. And I think we done got spoiled. Definitely, we done talked about this a lot, but I think it's easier now to sit all day or sit longer. You're more comfortable, and especially when you got deer moving, that makes all the difference in the world. But man, when I was about 12, 13 years old, man, I about 8:30, I was ready to get down because my toes were froze. I didn't have nothing warm on me.
Did you run the heater this morning?
Yeah, I run the heater. I got the stand, didn't I? I'm gonna light it no matter what it is because I don't want to have to click that pilot light when I think it might be a deer close by. So I'm gonna light the pilot light as soon as I get in every day.
Just let it sit there.
Let it sit there, and it's ready, sitting on go if I get chilly or I need to warm my veinies up. We good.
I ain't cut one on yet. I ain't had to cut one on yet.
I cut one on one time this year. That was it.
Me and Jamie's gonna cut them on.
Yeah, I ain't scared to burn propane.
It ain't that expensive, is it?
But we had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, me and Mark, we hunted we got down here, last Wednesday?
Wednesday.
We stayed Wednesday to Sunday at camp, hunted most every evening, and then the mornings, I hunted 2 mornings. I think we didn't get up and go Sunday. The wives came Saturday, so we didn't hunt. So did you go? You didn't go Sunday morning, did you? Yeah.
Waylon went. I didn't. I was snoozing. I thought about it. I was like, but we already got 4 in the walk in. I figured it.
Yeah, we got Mark put 2 down out of the same plot, same night.
Within about 20 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that hunt.
Oh, it was a good hunt. We I guess that was Friday evening.
I think it was Friday evening.
Yeah, Friday evening. I went out there pretty early because it's one of them things like you get the itch. You feel like they're moving and you feel like you need to be out there. So I was out there about noon, maybe a little after, and just wanted to sit and didn't really have too much action. Didn't see too much till about 3 o'clock. We had some does come out and feed around, and it might have been a little bit after 3, but out of that group of does, there was one big doe, and I said, heck, I ain't got my doe yet this year. I'm going to go ahead and get her. And wasn't no bucks. I watched them about 20 or 30 minutes. Wasn't no bucks pushing them or with them. So I went ahead and shot the doe and kind of was just sitting there relaxing. Then I asked you, I said, hey, you may go ahead and get back because I figured, hey, we'll start on supper or whatever we got to do. I knocked that on out. And Mike was like, no, I'll just sit there in case something else comes out. I said, all right. So I don't know. It was about 4:30, maybe 4:45.
Yeah, it was right at prime time.
Betty Crocker comes slipping out of the ditch down there, and I text Malcolm just to make sure. I said, you want Betty Crocker on the ground? He said, yep. I said, well, good, because he is.
He was a scorer for the Betty Crocker scoring system, too.
Yeah.
John weigh that deer.
Yeah.
See,
Jamie was on the money. His instinct kicked in.
I said, what, 165?
You said it on the nose, and we talked you out of it.
That deer wasn't 165.
That's all he was.
But
they have short legs or something?
His legs were short. And probably from nose to tail, he wasn't no bigger than the doe nose to tail.
He was a big deer. I mean,
but he was just round. Everything he had was round.
Y'all should have seen how much fat was on that deer. I mean, he had inner fat, he had back fat, probably half inch or more thick. I mean, he'd been eating good somewhere.
If we'd have done the squirrel scoring where they measure his cods, he's a freaking Boone Crockett. He had a set on him.
He had a set on him. But when Mark got to looking at his rack after we got our hands on it and looked at old sling blade in there on the wall, identical.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
There's no doubt that they have
he's
the
a youngin'
same.
of him.
Yeah, he's got to be offspring of that buck. So he needed to go. He was one that needed to go. His rack wouldn't.
He was nothing to brag about.
Yeah.
But he was one of them deals like after comparing him to Sling Blade, we know that those genetics are strong. Like they stayed with it.
You ain't gonna stop them, but you can shoot every one of them you see and don't think twice about it. But we got another one running around in here that we don't know what's up with them. The little nubbin buck.
Yeah. So after I shot that deer, I thought it was just a spike come out, and he come out the same spot and fed around up in turnip greens, and I got to looking at him, and he was I guess a spike. He was a big body deer, and his spikes wasn't about 3 or 4 inches long. If that, I mean, they wasn't much at all, but they was big around. It almost
like
looked
it had bases. It had base.
like it had full bases like for a regular rack, but they got broke off or something. Both of them were broke off same length.
They were broke off though.
That's the one thing I can figure. I mean, no joke. They're probably
2 or 3 inches.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty heavy horn spikes, but they're not but 2 or 3 inches long. And I don't know if maybe like they got damaged in velvet or what's going on, but I seen him this morning.
He's too big to be a year and a half year old.
Yeah, I mean he's bigger body deer than that Sling Blade Junior was or whatever, Betty Crocker. I mean,
you think he weighs more than 165 pounds? Well,
he's a bigger body deer.
That's a pretty good size buck for this
he's just
area.
got little nubs, look like 2 little stumps on his head.
Mm.
So
I have been the master of the 2.5-year-old 8 points. I don't know how many I've seen, and different ones. Those bucks don't know how lucky they are, because if we turn some folks loose on them, we'd have to stack them like cordwood. And we've got a lot of great looking young bucks we've been seeing, been chasing doe.
I've seen 3 different ones
that are different.
3 sets.
The one you were talking about this morning's one that we haven't seen on camera that I know of.
I look back through my pictures and I hadn't seen him before.
Yeah.
Neither the last two, heck, none of the 3 that I've seen over here on this property we've had on camera at all. That one this morning, he wasn't as heavy as the one I saw Saturday morning, but he wasn't a bad deer at all. I mean, he was outside his ears, but he was a little bit lighter in the horns, and I got good pictures and good video of him, so we got something to show you.
This morning's buck?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can post that. That's pretty cool. It looked like you just had your phone out, but then this buck come busting out running to you like you called
Well, I was
him.
sitting there like, me and Mikey and Jamie were texting like, man, we're trying to think of something to get content on. I was like, well, heck, I'm going to shoot a little intro while I'm sitting here in the stand just in case, and so I propped my phone up over in the window, kind of facing me, had good light, and you could see good in the stand. So I shot a little intro, and I said, well, let me show y'all what I'm looking at. What does it look like out of the stand? And I'm panning the backside of the stand, and I just happened to glance, and here he comes, nose down, over the fence. Here he comes. I was like, well, crap.
He came out of that pasture?
Yeah. I was like, this was not planned, but here he is,
and run all the way to the bottom of the steps.
Yeah, all the way to me.
Oh, he come up that way?
Oh, yeah. He
crossed
right
the
there.
road.
He wasn't 10 yards from me.
Yeah, right there at the foot of the stand.
Mm.
And then while that was going on, I peeked over, and it was does. I mean, it was, by that point, I had deer on all 4 corners, I think. Like, it was deer everywhere, so.
That is one thing I like about those box stands. If you got them in a good spot, the deer never know you're in there.
See, I closed up some of the windows because that wind.
Where was it doing this morning? North?
It was supposed to be south. And it was a south wind pretty good, but every now and then I guess it'd get between them trees and, man, it would blow all over. And them 2 little yearlings, they got up behind me. I know they smelled me, but they didn't. I mean, they were legit yearlings, so they didn't have a clue what was going on. But it was a good morning for sure.
That buck had to be smelling. I mean, that makes sense for a south wind there. That's where he's coming from. And he had to be smelling something to be coming like that. I mean,
it's weird because we talk about the wind a lot and stuff like that. And one thing I noticed, I don't know if it's got something to do with the ridges or what, but like this morning where that wind was coming from, like it would blow, if it blew hard, it would blow straight out of the southwest, like it said on the thing. It comes straight in the front window of the stand, kind of off to the right a little bit. But if it slowed down, I caught my wind, like I would breathe and it would go out the front window as it slowed down, and my wind would go back to the west, like it was blowing out of the east or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that wind was like swirling, coming down in that bottom off that other ridge and blowing it back that way. I'm sure it got out there and changed, but something like that would mess you up on a deer. If you set up for a southwest wind and it went out there about 50 yards or 100 yards and, before it came back to the southwest or blew out of the southwest. But I think sometimes those ridges and stuff mess your wind up.
Did you have any bust you this morning? They didn't get.
No, I didn't have any bust me, but once the wind picked up, it started blowing pretty hard. It was almost dead west on me when it blew straight out in the field. But I didn't have any bust me.
Which I think both bucks I saw this morning, they wasn't worried about nothing but one thing. Because, they were fast paced, moving, checking, smelling, turn around, go the other way. Like that little old Spike thing, he ran the wheels off that hillside. Like he was from one side to the other, just trying to find something, He was hard up.
I saw something interesting or read it. I can't remember which one, but it was talking about how a lot of people say you have your rut, and then those that don't get bred have a secondary rut, which is for our area usually around New Year's, and then they say some of them go to a third rut. Some people say, well, that's not really true. What happens? It's like what happens is most of the does, the bulk of them are going to come in during that first rut period, which is we're slapping the peak of it right now.
Yeah,
you can always tell because we start seeing scrape activity. When your scrape activity is the highest, you just about guarantee 2 weeks prior to that it's going to be your peak, and that's right where we just started. We started that peak. It'll run for about 10 days usually. But that's when just about all your does are going to get bred. You will have some that don't. So what happens, they say, is it could be like it don't matter if it's a spike, if it's a young buck or whatever. All them bucks are capable of breeding those does that are ready. So you have no way to control. It's not always going to be the biggest and the baddest or the best genes. It's just that's when those does are going to get bred. Now, the ones that are held over, a lot of times, why you think there's a secondary rut, it's because if you've got a lot of does, you're having late fawns, and those doe fawns do come in. But what controls them coming in, and I found this real interesting, is body weight. Until they get to the right body weight size, they will not reproduce. So that's why you see a lot of times it's taking those later fawns all the way, if you got good food sources still in the winter, to that January period to be big enough to come in. Yeah. So it's throwing them bucks into another rut. The bucks don't stop rutting. Once the rut starts, their goal is to breed every doe that can be bred that whole season. Yeah. And they say that's why it seems like only to January. There's even been times and instances where they've seen it happen in March. Yeah, these late does, and it's because those are yearling or fawn does that have got big enough to breed. When they hit that body weight size, it triggers it. So they're all going to get bred. And that's why we can see ours. We see a lot of rut activity still in early January. We don't see a lot in late January. Usually the bucks are wore out and they're on feed pattern then. But that whole rut, I thought, man, that's pretty. Because I was assuming like, there's so many does they can't get to them all, so they go out of estrus and then they come back in 30 days. That's not really the case.
I wonder if they stay in, because they say that the bucks trigger the rut. They're the ones that actually trigger it. Once they're ready to breed, the does know to, come in the cycle.
Yeah.
And, I wonder if there's ever any that like come in and the bucks go out, if for some reason they come across them, will it trigger them to, maybe breed again? Or will they just not be interested? Like, hey, it's over with. I'm done.
I think nature's just the animal itself. They got to be bred.
Yeah,
something's going to breed them. It might be that old buttonhead. But something's going to be like you said. That spike that was running around today. That's a good instance. That doe or that buck, that young buck, it can breed as many does as a big mature buck.
Yeah,
I think the mature bucks may be a little more selective. That's the ones that, like you were talking about, they might go back to them same old big does they like, and they know them, they got their territory. And then you're going to have the nomad roamers that just take out and try to breed them all, but it's a fine mix. I mean, especially when you don't have a lot of, we could see deer on our property come from anywhere because we're surrounded by these larger tracts of land that have a lot of deer on it. So we hold a lot of does, so the bucks are coming.
And that, some of that, a lot of that makes sense because you think about it like you think about like a teenage young man, once he gets interested in that stuff, he don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? So those younger deer don't care. They're not going to be.
They don't know all the tricks.
And then as they start getting older and mature, they're like, well, I better slip around. I like this one and this one and this one, and these are the ones that, and I wonder if I'm sure they can tell, is this a healthy, strong, good stock, doe that I can breed that I know that my bloodline will carry on, or is she just kind of a, not
Hit it and
good?
quit it.
Yeah.
Neighborhood doe.
The neighborhood, just old neighborhood doe. I don't know. They want to breed them all. That's all I know.
Because nature's like that. It's if you've ever watched the Nature Channel, birds and monkeys and stuff like that. They're selective about things that they breed with.
It's kind of that Darwinism. They want the best of the best.
They want the best of the
carry
best.
on the bloodline. So I wish that were the case always with bucks, but
Well, that's the reason we got rid of old Betty Crocker.
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of time. Well, see that deer, it kind of. You hear that, it doesn't matter what the genes are. That buck could have gotten hurt, and that's why his rack's like that. He can still have good genes. But when you repetitively see that same trait, it's got to be more genetics to that rack.
I mean, we've seen it twice with Sling Blade and Ricky.
Yeah.
Like, I got to looking, that deer we got of Little Ricky is Little Ricky. He's on the other property, but I got thinking too, all right, we always talk about how far bucks travel. Nobody ever brings up how far does that doe travel.
Well, most of the time their range isn't that far, a doe range.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, all right, you got two properties that are, say, a mile apart.
Yeah.
That doe and that buck can meet halfway in between.
They could definitely overlap that range.
Like you're not.
That ain't a range for a buck. That's nothing.
That's
a
nothing.
mile's nothing.
Oh, they're 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah,
Easy. in a
easy.
day.
But a doe, typically, they have a smaller range typically.
So, I mean, I don't
That's
know.
why we can hunt some stands and you see this same group of does and you never see them in any others.
Yeah.
They just stay around the same place.
South Trump's like that. You're going to see that group of 4 or 5 does every evening.
Same group.
Same group.
Yeah, they're not going far at all. But I guess a lot of it depends on if they have to. If they're going to go. If they got shelter, they got food, they got water, why go? Why take off?
Yeah.
Unless something's really running them off, But if they're not pressured too much, they don't have to leave. And old buck will do the same thing, except for this time of year. That's really when they get to roaming.
So what do you consider too much pressure? Like on a property like we have, what is too much pressure? Because you got to think, I mean, we're in and out of this property every weekend throughout the year. Like there's not a week we don't travel this property at some point, whether it be, with the tractor side by side or whatever. Then all the farms around us, they're all like this morning, it was equipment running in and out across the pasture all morning.
I think they're used to a lot of that now. Too much pressure if you're beating these woods down every night, coon hunting, out there rabbit hunting a lot, running dogs, doing stuff like that. Just riding around in general. There's sometimes during the summer we'll come down here and just ride around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that all during deer season. In the peak of rut.
You got to look at 2 different ways, though. Down here, we're traveling roads to a field. Now, if you was out walking the woods,
that's right.
That's definitely.
If we were beating down the woods,
you're getting in their bedroom. They're everywhere down there doing.
See,
that.
I think we have a bigger window as far as pressure goes versus say if we had a 500-acre farm in Illinois that we're only up there 4 or 5 weeks out of the fall.
Yeah.
They can definitely pick up, hey, what's going on, but I feel like it would take a lot of us to do a lot of pressure here to make that difference enough to where we notice it.
I don't know if you could pressure out these doe. Y'all think you could? They'll sit there and watch you. How many times on the tractor or just riding around? As long as you don't stop and mess with them,
Yeah.
they'll just watch.
I'm down here every weekend or every Friday anyways, working or doing something, whether it's on the side by side or whatever, and I've been out there doing something and get off and be, not paying attention to what's around me and look and see a group of deer just standing in the edge of the woods looking at me.
Yeah,
they don't think I see them, but I did. But
we've had them flying that drone out at the big field. Just come out in the field while we're out there flying a drone. Never said anything to it. Yeah, never.
Yeah,
they never say nothing to you.
They never say nothing to me.
They definitely didn't.
She didn't blow
nothing.
at us or nothing.
Yeah, I think once they, I guess, they if they were getting shot at off of that equipment and stuff like that. They would kind of put 2 and 2 together and like, man, you better stay away from that. But we're not shooting at them off the equipment or anything like that.
I don't know that a gunshot affects them that much. Because I'm telling you, I shot that doe the other day, and maybe 3 of them raised up and looked, and she was laying in. I mean, and that 28 nozzler is like when it goes off, and they didn't. I mean, they kind of raised up and looked around for a minute. Like 1 or 2 of them kind of trotted around in the food, but they never left the food plot.
They came back.
Went back to feeding.
I've had them do that.
Now that one walked over and looked at her on the ground, was like, "Daggone, what'd you eat?" You know,
Jamie ain't gonna like this, but I've had them go right up to that dead mama and have to run them off.
I don't think they're scared of the gunshots. I mean, as long as they're not in the field when you fire the shot. But I think they will associate. Like if you just say you killed a deer with 10 does in the field, and they know the shot came from that deer stand, they will associate that stand with they'll be leery of it. Because there were some that come through today that were as soon as they walked out in the field, they pegged that stand just looking at it, and they would stare at it for a few minutes, and then they turn and go on.
Yeah.
They were checking it to see if anybody was moving around up there.
Yeah, they do know that.
So they've seen or been around or.
That goes my dummy theory, but we should just get some
orange fish year round.
Whole dummies and put up in there and let them sit there so they get used to that silhouette.
That stand right there is, I love the curtains in the back of it. Because, man, you can back up against that back wall and still see out all the windows, and they ain't going to see you. Like, there's nothing for them to silhouette you or nothing else.
I had to do that last year to them because especially on those newsstands that have a lot of windows, if you get a deer to your left and your right, they can see through that stand at that angle. Yeah. If you don't have something in there to block it, and it doesn't have to be much. I mean, I bought that old cheap burlap camo. It's got the holes and stuff in it, and just gorilla taped it up to the top of the frame, and it just hangs there. I mean, you can still see out it pretty easy, not having to move it too much.
You're doing pretty good. I didn't know if you noticed this, but the windows, when you open them, it looks like they're reeling them up. So you can open the window and just raise it, and the curtain rolls up itself.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't do that on purpose.
I know Crossroads does.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose.
Matt was like, "Man, it's a pretty cool curtain. How'd y'all get this on there?" I said, "That's Malcolm Reese special right there."
Yeah, it's called Easy. That duct tape gorilla tape some bad tape, man.
Bad tape out there.
That jugger's been out there for over a year now.
It's pretty potent.
I wouldn't want to get it and lay it on your leg hair or nothing and have somebody snatch it off.
Oh, it whacks you or whatever them women do. You put that on there, snatch it off, and take care of it.
So, we had a pretty good weekend, like we said. We ate good.
Man, we cooked. Sure. There was one night. So we had some people come in town. We kind of entertained them, took them hunting. So the first night, was that the night?
First night was pork chop. Well, no, first night was jambalaya.
Yeah, we had jambalaya. Mark whipped up a sausage and chicken jambalaya. That was really good. And then the next night, we had a wild game night. Man, we had fried gator. We had duck. We had tamales from the Delta.
Tamales were good.
Then we had some more jambalaya warmed up, and then we had some of that ham. I did a ham video that Thursday for Christmas, and we had hams. We just had like a smorgasbord of stuff.
Protein.
It was good. Yeah, protein. I don't know. Yeah, I guess the carbs was the jambalaya, the rice that night.
What was Ninja's pickle, duck,
and horseradish sauce? It was
surprisingly, it worked.
Yeah. Have y'all ever had that? Fried duck. Like deep fried duck, and you take a piece of a pickle spear when you get that piece of duck and you put it on it and you squirt that
creamy horseradish
on top of it, and you eat it all as one bite. And it's different, but man, it just kind of works together. I never thought of eating duck and pickles, but
big batter fried.
Yeah, batter fried.
Yeah, I could see the.
Now the quack was cooked out of it. I ain't gonna lie.
No, it was well done.
It was the quack was cooked out of it, but the gator was good. He brought some gator. They got down there on his hunting club and
how'd y'all cook it?
Fried it.
You fried it?
He had it all ready to go, or he just battered it up and fried it. While me and Mark were over at the shop getting those deer in the cooler.
Yeah, I guess
he come over and started cooking. Yeah. He come over and started cook. They come over and started cooking that, and then we came back and warmed up the ham and stuff and jambalaya.
Yeah, we got. I guess we were out there dressing deer. We quartered one up. I didn't leave it whole, but the buck I left whole and put it on another piece of rebar and slid it on in there, and that works pretty good. Like, if we had a way to make it to where your rebar didn't want to slide, that would work. You could put as many as you wanted in there. Like, it wasn't bad at all.
You could weld or rig up some little brackets, like little V brackets or something, just so that bar sits in it and it can't go nowhere.
Rebar's temporary, but it works.
So we got 4 in the freezer. They're a week apart.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We got some that'll come due
next week.
Yeah, next week.
I think we're doing a 14-day.
That was what I was told was about the best.
14 to 21 this weekend.
Hunter said 21. When I picked mine up, I was asking about one. I asked him about the walk-in leaking around the top. He said it's almost impossible to get them not to.
Really?
He said you can put as much sealant on it as you want, as many tubes as you want to buy. But he said until you put like a
roof,
makeshift roof over it, That's the best way. That's the only way he's found. And there are people he's talked to. He said they sell all this expensive, like overlayment, underlayment, whatever you want to call that stuff that goes over the top of it. And he says you can't hardly stop them from leaking. Even though they say they're outdoor units, he said they're still, it's hard.
It didn't leak as bad. Like all that rain we got this weekend, it didn't leak.
We went over and looked.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Wasn't nothing dripping on meat or nothing like that.
Yeah. So it ain't a ton of it getting in there. It's just some. But a simple.
I think that's just better anyway.
Simple tin roof over the top of it. Or Mark had the idea of come off that building with a lean-to. Like an overhang.
Well, that way you got some storage right there. We put coolers between the walk-in and the shop and keep all that out.
I wonder if they sell the kit for the back side of that from Blue Steel, where that building came from, for a lean-to on the back that you could.
Yeah, I don't know. Different manufacturers. Some manufacturers cut the side and slide the lean-to roof under the side, and then they put some type of flashing on it. But I don't know why you couldn't buy the flashing and
do it yourself like that.
I'd look into it and see.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to add on to a lean-to there. Cutting it is one way, and then they make some other like transition trim and stuff like that, where you can seal it up. And
I was going to say, there'll be some way to just put some like flashing made for that corrugated steel that would work.
Only needs to come out about 12, 14, 15 foot at the most, because that.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a bad idea while we're there. Is there a light on that? There ain't a light on that side. No. We put a light right there to where, because it was dark as crap till the night.
Yeah. There's not one on that back corner, is it? It would be a good place to have another light on that back corner somewhere. You can see once you flick the light on in the walk-in pretty good.
Talking about dressing deer, what about that Victorinox knife? That skinning knife.
That's a pretty cool knife. Have you seen it?
Oh,
You'll cut yourself with it if you don't watch it, because it's reverse.
It's backwards.
Yeah, it's a backwards knife.
It looks like a regular knife, but the top of the blade is sharp.
Yeah, it looks like a breaking knife.
Oh, really?
Looks just like a boning knife.
Yeah. The tip's blunt, though, right?
The tip's got a ball welded on it.
Yeah, it's got like a ball.
So you can't poke a hole in nothing.
And then the back side, like what would normally be, the top of the knife, is where it's sharp, and you put it in backwards and rip it right down the or you don't really put it in backwards. It's made to go either way.
Just grab it, hold it like a regular knife, and
the little ball on the point keeps you from like
hitting the guts.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, and I got on that buck, and I was going to bust the sternum so we could gut him while he was hanging. And I started. I was like, hell, I'll try it again, and see and shoot.
Did it cut right through it?
It cut right through it. Everything.
Yeah.
Matt leave any of them?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's one out there with it, and there's a couple in the cabin.
I had one in that roll he gave me down at Mossy Oak too, so we got a couple of them.
It catches you off guard.
Oh, you'll hurt yourself with it if you go to cleaning it and don't know what it is.
You put that in a knife drawer, and somebody's gonna get plumb pissed off trying to cut some cheese with it, because they're gonna think it's a regular knife.
Yeah. Don't let your wife use it.
Oh,
it goes against everything.
Yeah.
But it's a processing knife. That's where he sells it to meat packing plants where they process.
It's actually a hide skinning knife.
Yeah, it's
what they do.
Yeah.
But it works. It works real good.
I don't know how hard it'd be to sharpen. Do you? I mean,
you can sharpen it on crock sticks probably pretty easy, because you don't need nothing but like the last 50% of it. Like it ain't got to be super sharp really to do what you got to do. But no,
I hate sharpening a knife. It needs to be easy.
Well, the other day I was dressing the doe, and I was like, man, I was struggling. Wouldn't nothing go right. Well, I didn't know I had my orange handle knife, and there was another orange handle knife out there. Mine, I just got done sharpening. I was like, this thing is freaking dull. Well, I done grabbed the other one. Mine was still sitting there, never even got blood on it. I was like, daggum. So I got my other knife, and I don't know, y'all may be different in this, but I'm pretty freaking picky when it comes to what knife I want to dress a deer with.
Yeah, I do too.
Like certain ones, I can't work them. Like it don't feel like I can't take one in boning knives and dress a
chicken knife. Did Matt give you that chicken knife?
Yeah.
They pretty much just said, all right, Mark's got this. Yeah. And that's when they went to cook him, because they come in there thinking they were fitting to have to clean these deer. And Mark had the dough done, and 2.5 minutes maybe.
It didn't take long.
It wasn't long, but he had some little orange handled. Yeah. I call it a chicken knife, but it's a little short.
I meant no offense to Matt. I'm picky about my knives. Like I got to have one that it's almost like muscle memory. Like where that knife's at, so you don't even look. You just get to pulling and
get comfortable with it. Don't worry about cutting yourself. Yeah.
See, I've given knives away that I bought just for it. Like I have knives I just skin with. Now, I carry a pocket knife all the time, but there's certain knives I like that I'll just skin deer with or game with or something. But it's got to fit my hand right. It's got to have the right balance or weight to it, and because if you get a knife that don't fit your hand, I know y'all have had it happen before. Your hand will start cramping and it'll start hurting, and man, you're just miserable skinning.
What's your preferred knife for skinning?
The one that I got at the house, it's an old Browning knife.
That's what I was finna say. So
like a foldable.
No, it's a lot.
Mikey's mine is a foldable one. I think Jamie's is foldable.
I would buy, if I could find them again, I'd buy every one I could find.
They don't make them anymore?
Mine's folding, it's 2-blade. One's a skinning knife with a gut hook on it. The other one's it's a bone saw, but I use it climbing a tree. I mean, a limb big around your wrist, man, 4 or 5 strokes, it'll saw right through that limb. So that's why I always carry it. And I bought Abby, I thought was pretty much the same, but it's a 3-blade, and it's heavy. It's real heavy.
See, mine's a 3-blade, but it isn't as big as that one.
Abby's the one I got her is heavy.
I thought I lost it. I've been looking for this knife for the last 2 years, and I just happened to get my backpack the other day, and I put it in a zipped up pocket in a pocket so I wouldn't lose it. And I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "That's my Browning knife," and I got it back out. So I'm in business now.
Well, do y'all carry them in your pocket, or are they sheath knives?
Mine's
sheath
on the side.
Mine you can put in your pocket. It ain't big.
Is yours pocket size or?
Yours
is a fixed blade, so it's like a buck knife.
Yeah, it's like a buck knife. I'll leave it at the house. I don't carry it.
Yeah. Will's is over there in that deck box. It's been laying out there for 2 years now. It was by my recliner, then it's out on the porch, and now it's in that box.
That's what happens when you buy kids good stuff. They don't care nothing about it.
It's a Browning buck knife, I think.
Last year I bought one of them outdoor edges. The orange, that's my orange knife.
That's the one my preferred one of choice.
But it's a foldable
swing blade. Oh, the swing blade? Is that the one you got?
No, it's just see. I like the sling blade. It's nice too, but you still have to put it in a sheath. You can't put it in your pocket.
Yeah, it's not.
So I got just a regular folding pocket knife, but it's the regular blade. It's no like interchange. I don't like the interchangeable razor blades.
We used them.
They don't last.
You can one deer. You're gonna put a new blade on it because we did those 2 the other night. We had to put a new blade after that first one.
Yeah,
they'll hurt you. They're so sharp at first.
Yeah, they're super sharp and they're a good skinning knife. But, and you better have, if you got a multiple deer to clean, you better have some extra blades.
Yeah, to me they just don't hold the edge as long. I guess because they're like a finer.
They're so sharp, so thin. So I mean, if you clip a bone or something like that, I mean that's pretty much
Dick a
gonna get it right there.
I want a good fixed blade knife that's good for skinning. I've been looking at them, and man, the ones I like that I found, I just can't justify that kind of money for a knife.
That's like I got one for Christmas, and I don't want to take it out of the bedroom. It's like I need to keep it in the safe. You know what I mean?
Nothing for
it's one of them commands.
$500 on some of these fixed blade knives. Yeah, I can't do that.
I used to have an old. James Parsons got it for me when I was a kid. It was I think it was a Remington brand knife with a big orange handle. It was a fixed blade. Man, it was a good knife.
Gerber had some that were always reasonable that you could put an edge back on them no matter what. I got one out there. It's fixed blade, heavy. It's got a good heavy feel to it. I always like those, but it's got the rubber grip handle, so it's not slick.
I grew up, everybody back then, Daddy was always a $110 Walmart.
Yeah.
I still got mine, matter of fact. But
I got one of those somewhere.
They're good knives, especially for the money.
Well, Jamie, you had a pretty busy weekend too.
I want to know all about the handicap hunt. What all went on first round?
Man, I think this is my 4th year, and it's like I guarantee I get more out of it than they do. It's yes, I'm missing rut. Yes, I'm missing sleep, but I don't regret.
You look pretty tired.
I don't regret a minute of it.
So you got out there Thursday?
I carried the trailer down Thursday, stayed Thursday night, and come home Sunday night. And that's
you stayed the entire weekend.
Never left. Yep, stayed there, and you pretty much getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and by the time we settle down, it's 10:30 at night.
When did folks start getting there?
Some of them was there. When I got down there early Thursday morning, I mean, it was trailers, campers. Someone staying in campers. They've been there first part of the week probably.
It looked like more people in campers this year than it was last year.
Was it more locals or was it people from all over?
We had, I know two guys from around Biloxi, Gulf Shores area. The young man from Texas or Louisiana, Mark actually talked to them some too. They come back again.
Some guys drove back Sunday night after hunting.
8.5 hour drive. Yeah.
Wow.
I think like maybe 3 guys. They come as a group from Texas, several around Mississippi. Guy carried out. One guy's from Boonville. One guy, he's from Memphis, and his dad was from somewhere in Louisiana, and they come up. No, it was probably.
So did y'all feed them Thursday night?
Miss Lisa, her and her husband Mike Riley's the one that kind of started all this, and that woman, she's mean in the kitchen. I'd put her. I mean, we did not go hungry. I did not eat nothing bad, but they kind of started some prepping stuff Thursday night. We just kind of ate on it, and then there was some guys come in to cook Friday night and Saturday night, and I'm talking about jam up. You couldn't ask no better food than that.
Did y'all feed breakfast, lunch too?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yep.
So what time would folks start getting up? Like 4 a.m.
Me and Brad was like 4:15, 4:30 before we got over there, and we was almost late.
Really? There's folks already up.
Yeah. They're in there eating breakfast at 4 o'clock. Usually, what they'll do, the men and women in the kitchen cooking. They're cooking probably, I'd say, 200 sausage patties every morning
Before you go hunting.
Right. So what they'll do, they'll cook a lot of it the night before and warm it back up on the griddle or the oven the next day.
Yeah.
You'd be up at midnight starting cooking like that. And they do sausage, biscuit, eggs, bacon. We done smoked sausage. I mean, you're not going to, if you go hungry, it's your fault.
So y'all feed them up and then take them, put them in stand?
Yep. And then someone come out at lunch, someone would carry them lunch. And like I said, them guys, all them hunters are tougher than me. They're in the wheelchair and they'll sit there from daylight to dark.
Really?
They don't want to leave the
A
stand.
lot of them will.
Yeah.
Yep, a lot of them will. But it's
So did you get to help some people go to a stand this year?
Yeah, I had two guys that carried out first day, or the man and his the son and her father, excuse me. They was in one stand, and I had another guy. Me and his son carried his dad out, and he hunted by himself. But they ended up being 30-something hunters total. So you're looking at 32, 33 hunters. Probably close to half or more is going to have their father, brother, or wife, or something like that sitting with them. So you're 70 people probably feeding.
So I didn't know this so I didn't get to go down there till Sunday afternoon. But I didn't know this until then. I was talking to one of the park rangers, Rob. So all the park rangers have like their team, and they have their hunters they take care of, and they keep score who gets deer and who don't.
Yeah.
It's competitive.
I mean, it's like so Sunday afternoon.
They want to put them on deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, there was a couple of hunters that was with park rangers, wasn't killing no deer, and Rob's guys was killing deer, so they went to the transfer portal. They was moving. They moved. They was getting to another
Transfer
park ranger.
portal.
Yeah. They was like, "Well, you killed that out of my stand, so that's considered."
Yeah.
Oh no. They was going back and forth. It was it's a good time.
This was probably the slowest. Everybody was seeing multiple deer, bucks chasing does, and man, just you take us. I mean, we can move around pretty daggum good. And if you got your gun sitting there laid across your lap and a buck comes out chasing doe, man, you got to be fast to get on it. Well, these guys, like I say, most of them are paralyzed or something from the waist down, arms down. So they've got shooting devices or somebody's helping them shoot. Man, I guarantee it's a struggle for them to get on.
Things got to line just right. Yeah.
But it don't matter if it's a 50-pound doe or a 200-pound buck. It's trophies.
So how many deer do you think we're taking?
I didn't get the exact count, but I would say probably between 12 and 15 this year's.
Okay. Well, that's
Usually that's one night.
Yeah, that's one day usually. But
really,
the lake bed's down, and man, it's a junk.
I wondered how that was going to affect things with the lake on such a drawdown. Like, I mean,
it's empty.
Yeah, it's empty.
Oh,
the deer have so much places to go. There's new growth, and I mean they're.
And it's nothing but what's that? Tea weed, coffee weed, whatever it is.
Coffee beans.
Yeah, coffee beans. I mean, that whole bottom.
All ain't nothing but beggars, lice, coffee beans, and kookaburras. That's probably all that's out there.
Deer love it.
Yeah.
My buddy Brad, he came down there. He was just walking around. There's a point coming out off the campground. We're not 100 yards from where we're all sitting up around a fire pit, and it drops off in the lake bed where all that brush and stuff's at, and the coffee weed, beans, or whatever it is. Heck, you jump 3 deer just right there. If it was legal, you could sit right there on the point of the campground and probably shoot all the deer you wanted to shoot.
Really moving through.
Yep. So it's
see any good, sure enough, good ones?
There were several hunters that seen the same buck, and he was chasing does every time, and they said he was a sure enough good deer. Yeah. It was one that we got shot, and we tracked it, and we did. I don't think it was hit. I don't think it died. It was just a graze. Yeah. Or something. We found a couple of drops of blood, and that's it. But that was probably the highlight of the whole weekend. This young man, I'd say.
He's my age.
Yeah, he's probably late 30s.
Mid-30s,
yeah. And he's got limited movement in his arm, and he's all the way blind or pretty much blind. And his dad sat with him. So his dad's got I don't know if it's iPhone, it's a screen above his scope. So he can see the deer, and he gets the gun on the deer, and the son reaches up and pulls the trigger. And that was everybody's goal for the whole weekend for this young man to kill a deer, and he ended up killing two. And man,
wow, legally blind.
I mean, yeah. You would have thought, I mean, We gave
he comes every year, don't
he? And man, between the hoodie and the deer, you'd have thought this guy done. I mean, he was on point. It was good feeling.
Tell you what, Jamie gave a guy some advice, not literally, and the hunter took him literally, and he had tell him about that.
Yeah.
Keith, I wish I could get Keith up here on the podcast. I believe it's a nerve disease he's got. So over time, it just body steady shuts down and gets worse. He's permanently in a wheelchair, and his speech is a little bit off. If you would have met him, you'd probably think he was drunk just the way he sounds. And he is. I'm talking about absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Around. So I was just kind of messing with him. So he's like, man, he said, every DRC, they come out to the left side of the blind. I'm looking to the right. He said, looking to the right, they come, vice versa every single time. And I would kind of just joke with him. I'm like, just carry 2 guns, put out one out the left, one out the right.
How you did?
It might not be legal, but he said, I think I'm going to do that. And he did.
He carried 2 rifles.
He had a muzzleloader out one side and a rifle out the other.
35 Wayland out the other. But no.
Did he shoot anything with them?
He scared him. He shot out.
Oh, so he fired both of them.
I don't think he hit anything. I mean, man, I'm sitting there, and that's what me and, like I said, Brad, this is Brad's first year with me down. He hung out. He stayed in the whole time. And me and him was talking, I'm like, I'm up here griping because I got a headache and my feet are tired.
Yeah.
I'm like.
Dog bit him.
And
dog bit him.
Dog bit, yeah.
You got to tell that next.
And so, them guys, can you imagine the upper wear and tear on your upper body, grabbing hook to side by sides, pulling in, getting out, getting in the
Because you don't have special side by sides. You just got
I mean, we're pretty much, shout out to Seth Woot and all the guys he had. We had, probably 20 side by sides.
20 or 30
we had enough
side by
side by sides where every hunter was taken care of very well.
Yeah.
They're struggling from a wheelchair. You're sliding into side by side, or some of them we carry out, and we got trucks we can carry them out in, and they're getting from the wheelchair to the truck back. I mean, I couldn't imagine how wore out and how tired they are after 3 days of doing that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm over there griping because my feet hurt. I mean, it's just
because you got up early and stayed up late.
We take so much junk for granted.
That's true.
We have to go out and hunt. Some of these guys, this is the one and only weekend
a year
they get till next year.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm telling you, if you
even question and think about wanting to go be a part of it,
yeah,
it's unreal.
So how did the dog attack happen?
So it's a dog that's been down there every year that I've been down there, and it's probably X-rated, but this dog has got a package on the back that hangs down about 8 inches. I'm talking about.
He'd give a bull a run for his money.
Yeah, it just swings back and forth, and everybody it's kind of. I mean, it's almost when the dog walks, it almost passes it. Yeah. Well, the same lady come up to the dog, and I'm like, well, it's missing something. Maybe she got a new dog. I said, you got a new dog? She said, no. I'm like, well, he's missing. So the dog
he's definitely missing something. Yeah. Huh?
So the dog come up to me and Brad, and I mean, I pet him, Brad pets him. We're like standing there talking for 5 minutes.
What kind of dog is it?
Man, I don't know. That thing's, heck, he's probably stands, I mean, it's almost waist high probably. He's a big dog.
Yeah.
And so, we're standing there talking 5 minutes to the lady and talking to the dog, whatever. Brad leans over and like pets the dog, like, see you later, buddy. And man, that dog grabbed him right. I'm talking about, it got him good. I mean, his hand, it didn't ever really it broke the skin just with the teeth a little bit, but man, his hand was swole up. I mean, like all weekend, Brad avoided the dog. We're not petting the dog.
Avoided that dog.
I don't care if it's a Chihuahua or what it was. Brad wasn't petting it.
That's a lesson learned there. Don't mess with no stranger's dog.
I pulled up down there Sunday. We cooked jambalaya Sunday night. And
you brought the big pot?
Brought the big pot. And I tell you, jambalaya is good. But to me, the bigger the pot you cook and the more ingredients you put in it, the better it is. I mean, it's so much better cooking 10 pounds or 20 pounds versus a little Dutch oven on the stove, But I pulled up and there was one of Park Ranger's trucks sitting there, and man, this thing looked like it's been through hell and back. I mean, that's
probably the truck I would drive.
It was. It was mud. I mean, it was mud caked all up, mirrors folded in. I mean, this truck been tortured. And I get out, I was like, daggone, what'd they have? Jamie's like, oh, that's the one I've been driving. He done tortured this freaking F-150 down there.
What did you do, run through the woods?
No, so Rob and the Corps down there done a very, very good job. Most of the stands in the fields, they almost got limestone going to it. Cause some of these guys are big guys. They're 200, 300, 400 pounds, and they're getting a wheelchair. First thing it does is mire up. So they trying to get limestone or some kind of hard surface to all the stands. Well, this one particular stand was on the edge of the field, and it didn't. So I had it was a guy. He's probably he's 51. I mean, and he played, if I'm not mistaken, he went pro NFL football, and that's how he's paralyzed. Well, I say he's not paralyzed. He's very limited movement on his lower legs.
I think what'd you say? He played for Seattle?
Colts.
I thought you said Seahawks.
I think he said Colts, I think.
One of the two.
And he's got a pretty bad injury from football, and he's a big man. He's strong as all get out. He's a big man. So it's him and his dad. I carried him to the stand. Of course, I'm in the truck, and the other guy carried. He's from where is it? Just south of Boonville, starts with the M. You think of the town. He's been down that way, him and his son. Well, he's got a trailer that he hauls his wheelchair in. So I had it behind the Ranger truck and get around there. Man, I'm talking about that field, and that little bit of rain made that field just rotten. So you have time, 2 trips in and out. That was the last trip for the truck.
F-150 got a good transmission.
That's the last trip for that one. But you talking about eating good. We ate, Friday night, I had pulled pork, ribs, chicken, beans, slaw, potato salads. None of that was bad. That was great food. Then they cooked, I think he said 96 ribeyes for everybody Saturday night.
That's a ribeye cooking right
Gene
there.
Bowling.
Yeah, him.
Yeah,
Ribeye Wranglers. Them guys. I don't know.
Glenn, excuse me, not Gene.
Yeah.
Glenn.
All them guys, man. To feed that amount of people, and we've been around the barbecue world. We've ate, and man, I'd have put it up against any contest with them. They went top notch and didn't hold nothing back.
People don't realize you start cooking that many steaks to get them all consistent. That's a privilege. Like that's tough to do ananyway. So
they cooking them to order. Like you want yours rare. You want yours.
They was all pretty much a good medium. I mean,
yeah.
Like I say, it was nothing they put out all weekend long from Miss Lisa in the kitchen and all them guys. It was nothing. We didn't have nothing bad as far as food wise.
It never fails when you cook jambalaya. You pour all that broth and stock in there, and they're like, "Man, you making soup? That ain't gonna turn out." I said, "Just put the lid on it. Come back in a minute." Man, you come back and it's all fluffed up, big old puffy rice. Man, it was good.
Did they go through a whole pot of jambalaya?
No, we had probably two full-size pans left over.
Yeah,
I cooked way more than we needed, but it's just easy. 10 pounds of everything and throw it in a pot.
That's a never-fail recipe.
It'll work.
I'm ready.
So y'all doing it again this weekend?
I'll be leaving again, going down to Thursday night and stayed again to Sunday.
Did you leave your camp down there, or did you pack everything up?
The trailer down there. Yeah. Everything's pretty much good to go.
So y'all will be hunting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday one more time?
Yep, and hopefully
new group of people, you think, or some of the same ones?
Yeah, it'll be a couple, like the guys from Texas. You know, they're driving several hours. He usually stays. And he gets hunt both weekends. It also kind of depends on how many applicants we have put in, to hunt, but.
Hopefully they don't have to turn anybody away.
No, so I got to meet the guy, one of the chapter leaders from Hope Outdoors, and he gave us a bunch of leads to go to build it from this year to next year already. And I'm gonna try to meet up with him. And I mean, the way they do is totally different than how we do as far as we're hunting the core land just for mainly for population and deer control.
Yeah, that's the main goal. I mean, that's the main goal. They want people to experience hunting that don't get to, but they still doing that to help control deer population apart.
See, on Hope Outdoors, they have like a central chapter, I guess. It's a lot of times at a church, whatever. And then a landowner might be 20 minutes, might be an hour down the road, and they let the hunters, I can hunt 20 hunters on my property this year, and they go that route. But
I have seen that they did one recently in Mississippi where it was like the largest day of handicap hunting or something like that, where they, I mean, it was like you said, like say if we could hunt 1 or 2 people here that we had some stands set up for handicap, we could, in another farm somewhere else would, and just all across the state they did that. And I think it was over 200 something people they took hunting like that. I know
they're doing a hunt, and I can't think of that town. David Magnus is going down there. He's going to cook for them this weekend. This down in Mississippi. I know they got a hunt going on this weekend too.
Yeah.
And I want to say the next one I know is possibly January. So I'm going to try to go to the one in January. That's something else we talked about. We get these box stands; they're great stands, but they're not
accessible,
handicap accessible. Yeah. Very limited companies that make them, and when they do, they're like ridiculously expensive. Yeah. But something to think about.
I thought about, those little utility buildings that you can get put your riding lawnmower in. Those would be ideal.
Heck, they're cheaper than a box stand.
Yeah, they are cheaper than a box stand, but usually you can put some kind of ramp on them easy.
Yeah.
So you get a track chair or whatever up in it, and then you could cut some extra windows in that back wall side, and it'd be enough room for a family member, a guide, whoever wanted to go with them.
That ain't a bad idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was thinking about, and you could probably find some of those. Sometimes people want to get them out of the yard.
Little hard plastic ones.
Yeah, those would probably work.
They're like 8x8. Man, that'd be plenty.
The hardest thing and Rob does an excellent job. Him and all the other guys down at the core but it's figuring out the window height. Some guys. They don't want to sit in a wheelchair all day, so you put them in a regular chair. And then some guys have track chairs. Some guys got motorized chairs with the seat goes up and down. So all that, it's a ton of variables to put them in a stand. To get them on the gun vise, gun rest, the window height. Some deer stand, some of the box blind had to put floors in it to raise them up.
Yeah. So
they're up high enough for the window. So it's not just you go sit in a deer stand kind of deal.
Yeah, you don't think about that. Like when we're in a stand, we just get in a chair and make it work.
Yep. And the guy there's tons of technology that I didn't know about. The thing I'm most impressed with is called a slide board. It's a piece of plywood. It's probably 10, 11 inches wide and about, maybe quite 2 foot long. You lay from the vehicle seat, whether it's side by side or truck, over to the wheelchair and just kind of lean them over, put one cheek on it, on their butt, and you slide them up in the truck, slide them out of the truck. Man, that's a whole lot less wear and tear on their shoulders.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's easier for you to help move them around and for them to get around themselves, too.
Yeah, they can do it that way, too. So,
slide board, huh?
Yep. They got everything from that to, man, it's a full setup. He said you can put a 300 mag in it, and it's strapped in. It's got a weight on it. It's got a screen on it. And depending on how bad they paralyze it, they use their chin to move the gun back and forth, and there's usually a suck tube on it that does the trigger. And that will hold that gun at 300 mag. It'll hold that gun stationary to fire another shot, and that's how I take it is. I mean, it's about, I want to say around $4,000 for one of them systems. Wow. But I mean, if that's the only way you got to go a hunt, I mean, heck, it's worth it.
Yeah, no.
I'm fired up. I'm ready.
Yep.
Let's get done again.
Get ready to go again this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We still got our contest going, right, Mikey?
Yep, we still got the contest going. Gotten a few more entries and stuff. If y'all harvested anything or still got game cam pictures or anything y'all want to turn in, still got time to do that. Still looking for some recipes. If you got any good deer camp recipes, shoot them over to us. And
it don't have to be wild game recipes.
No, it can be whatever.
At deer camp.
Whatever tastes good at deer camp. Yeah.
No, whatever you're cooking at deer camp, one of your favorites. You know, if you got something like that, send it over to us and send us a picture of it. And
if you got that jerky recipe that's top secret or that somebody else needs to try, we need to know.
I'll tell you what we learned this year. You slide that old charcoal grill out of the way and you start cooking on that fire pit.
Man, I'm telling you, stuff tastes good over some burning oak wood.
It's so good.
I do. So Miss Lisa, she works in the kitchen. Me and her was talking and said somebody doing soup. And I'm like, I've tried and I can't nail it that I want to get it at. But like Mexican style jalapeno cheese cornbread. Man, the very next day, about 10 o'clock in the morning, she called me in the kitchen. She'd have made a big pan of it. I just need her to just come cook mine.
Was it as good as what you wanted it to be?
Good. It was real good. And she even said it too. Needed just a little bit more cheese in it. But other than that, it was on point. It was good cornbread.
Might have to be a Buck Junkies recipe there. So if we can come up with a Mexican cornbread.
That and
go with some deer chili, man. You can't go wrong with that.
No, it'd be darn good.
Dessert wise, Oreo balls. Man, I ate more than I should have this weekend.
He keep talking about his old insulin pump.
Yeah, going off.
I wonder why.
They did go off.
He 2 dozen Oreo balls
this weekend.
It was good groceries. Like I said, I didn't get there Sunday, and it was, if you weren't hungry, Jamie's right. It was your own fault. It was plenty to eat. It was good stuff.
Well, we'll be back again next week to do the same thing. And Jamie, you're going to give us another update on how the second week goes. Good luck to everybody out there hunting at Arca Butler at the handicap hunt.
I should be. I didn't get enough pictures taken, but between all of them down, I'm going to get a pretty good little picture collection, video collection going.
That'd be cool.
We'll post some of them.
Hopefully, we're going to get back in the woods this week, get some work wrapped up, and we're going to get back out. Y'all going back this afternoon?
I don't know. It's tempting.
You, Mikey? You are?
They're moving too good this morning.
They're going to be moving the next few days like that. Y'all get out in the woods and get after them.
We'll see y'all next time.
We gone.